Politics meets real life. We break down state and federal issues, showing how policy shapes everyday Americans. Engaged, balanced, and informative. That's our promise. And I'm your host, Mikkel Jenkins.
And this is Muhammad Ali chiming in as well.
And there has been a lot of updates, Mohammed, since we last talked regarding global and domestic perspectives and dimensions within the United States and around the globe as well, focusing on primarily the US Iran Israel campaign, as well as what's going on domestically with the DHS vote and the TSA pay legislation, as well as the new reconciliation bill that the Republicans are looking to ram through the House. So we'll
Yeah,
start on the global side of things and then end off with domestic. What were you going to say, Mohammed?
I was going to say a lot to tackle. A lot's been going on the last few days.
Yeah, a lot's been going on, and we do hope that our listeners were able to enjoy this special guest episode with Ramon Perez. Definitely a great individual to have on interview. And everyone, please go look at Digital Democracy Project and get an idea of really what it is and how it's helping everyday constituents stay up to date on legislation as well as holding their representative accountable for their votes. But to start it off, as the joint U.S. Israel campaign against Iran enters its fifth week, the Israeli military has been ordered to start targeting Iranian economic targets. This directive aligns with Israel's assessment of a remaining window of opportunity to achieve a decisive outcome that could topple Iran's regime. And with all these calls, there's also more recently now, actually, like probably 5 minutes ago, the Gulf states, Kuwait, UAE, and all those other states are privately pushing Trump and the administration to continue on with the war, even though there are reports that actually Iran is strengthening itself through this war by all the actions that it's taken regarding the oil fields and the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah.
A Israeli official emphasized that plans focus on striking energy infrastructure to push Iran toward financial collapse, creating conditions for internal regime change. And this shift contemplates the broader completion phase, is what they call it, of Israel's war goals, following the near destruction of key military infrastructure such as military bases, production facilities, and air defenses. Recent strikes have zeroed in on the IRGC linked steel plants and explicitly aimed at inflicting major financial damage on the regime and accelerating potential collapse within a limited window. Netanyahu is reportedly pushing the Trump administration very hard on energy strikes to trigger this financial meltdown. So they want to have this, chaos financially within Iran that kind of sparks up a internal revolt against the regime and the government. We know that this plan was provided, well, a form of this plan was provided from Netanyahu to Trump to actually incite individuals within Iran, citizens in Iran, to go through with a coup, but he stated that they would just get mowed down. And I know that we talked about this on a few of our last episodes, but it just goes to show that we're being pushed by not our own hand when it comes to this war. No one wants this war. It's a very unpopular war that's being led by really Israel, with us backing it. There's reports of boots on the ground in Iran from U.S.
If that
forces.
happens, it's dead for Republicans in the
Oh no, it's definitely
in,
gonna no, it's
in the
gonna happen.
fall.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen on the weekend as well, as Trump has
To not affect the
shown in
market.
patterns. Yeah, as he's shown in patterns, it's gonna happen on the weekend, whether it's this week or next week. It's definitely going. It's definitely gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Secretary of State Marco Rubio has, clearly outlined the United States' core objectives for the Iran war, which is the destruction of Iran's air force, the destruction of its navy, the severe diminishing of its missile launching capabilities, and overall degradation of its ability to threaten the region or pursue nuclear weapons. And we all know that from intelligence reports from the US intelligence community and even the IRGC in Iran, both entities have stated multiple times that Iran was not seeking a nuclear weapon. That has been stated as a fact, not even as a opinion. Even Tulsi Gabbard herself, when she was getting grilled by the oversight committee, stated the same, that Iran was not inching toward a nuclear weapon. But you have Israel and these Gulf countries who are continuously trying, or who are continuously succeeding and pushing not just Trump, but his administration to go full forward with the ground invasion and intensifying strikes on key pieces of infrastructure that are only going to further destabilize the market. And us at home in America, we're going to be the ones that are facing all of those costs.
I mean, we're pretty
And
lucky. We're lucky over here compared to so many of the people in the world. You know, like Europe. I'm
yeah,
not. Yeah, have you been to Europe yet, Mikhail?
no, I have not.
They get gas by the liters, and so like right now they've got dollars at like gas like $10 a gallon over there.
Yeah,
Now,
I
of
can
course, they don't
imagine
have to
that.
drive as much as we do, which kind of is the big balancer. But still, like that is far far worse than anything we have.
It's
And we've
very
got
far worse.
record bad in recent history gas prices going on right now. And then there's the effects this has on countries that are more reliant on Iranian oil. This could turn bad if they keep escalating with this.
No,
And
it's definitely going to go bad. It's
I'm
There's no
interested.
way
I'm
this
really
gets
interested
good.
to see where this goes. Hopefully for the better, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Goldman Sachs and various financial analysts are preparing for crude oil to hit about $200. They are preparing for that. So hopefully it doesn't get that high. But with it now just closing, I think, at 105 on the day, it's only going to increase up ever more as these strikes that I was talking about in the various energy infrastructures, as well as oil refineries that Israel has taken upon itself to strike in Iran. We're going to see the brunt of all of those strikes affect our wallet realistically. And simultaneously, the United States is dramatically ramping up its military presence in the region, with the U.S. now deploying over 50,000 troops in the Middle East. This includes the arrival of 3,500 U.S. Marines and sailors aboard the USS Tripoli amphibious assault ship, thousands of paratroopers from the 82nd Airborne Division, and hundreds of special operation forces. And reports confirm that Delta Force Army Rangers and Navy SEALs, including elements of SEAL Team 6, are now being sent to the region to join preparations for potential ground operation. These units have not yet been assigned for specific missions, but still they are positioned to support high risk tasks such as safeguarding or reopening the Strait of Hormuz, seizing Crag Island, which we've talked about is Iran's key oil export hub, or securing nuclear related sites. Israel media reports that Israel will provide intelligence, and this is the part that got me. They're willing to provide intelligence support only and will not commit boots on the ground. So not only has this war
Classic.
been, yeah, classic. Like, not only has this war been forged, started, and led by Israel in many regards, they won't even send their own Israel citizens to fight in a war that they started and that they wanted. They would rather the United States send our sons and daughters overseas to Iran to fight their war. And that's just disingenuous. It's disgusting to see that Israel is manipulating our administration so bad that we are full on getting ready to have a ground invasion of Iran with US citizens, US military troops, to be able to take out Iran for the sake of Israel. It's very demoralizing to see that this is going to be something that young individuals who are in the military are going to have to live with for the rest of their lives if a ground invasion is exactly what happens, which I believe it will be within the next 2 weeks, given they're now talking about this is a window of opportunity. The pressure is on from the Gulf countries to Trump to really execute this. And I keep bringing it up, but the QAnon theory about World War III. I mean, it checks, bro.
Honestly, it is pretty solid. Like
It's
the
pretty
more
solid.
things go
It's
down.
As the more things go down, I'm like, this. I'm checking off boxes here. I'm like, the next thing to happen is for this ground invasion to happen, right? And it to be a complete disaster with mass casualties the first time around. But then the second time around, it's supposed to be a lot better. U.S. would take over Strait of Hormuz, Crag Island, either or. But analysts are stating that the the amassing of the forces that we currently have now would not be enough to take over Iran or even the Strait of Hormuz. And remind you, the Strait of Hormuz was operating perfectly fine before this war started. So the war started, Strait of Hormuz was perfectly fine, and then it's now closed, and now we're trying to get it reopened to where it's probably going to go back to the same level of agreement where it was prior to the war.
Yeah.
And Iran is only strengthening its arm more and more. I mean, I've seen reports of fees around $2 million on ships trans like basically transitioning through the Strait of Hormuz. The fee is going to be $2 million for every ship that comes through. So not only has this war shown that Iran can withstand U.S. Israeli bombardment, it also shows that they are strategically gaining an advantage from this war. The Strait of Hormuz was operating perfectly fine before all of this happened. And Trump is consistently intensifying his rhetoric, stating that the U.S. is in serious discussions in some way or form with a new, more reasonable regime to end the operation, yet warning that if no deal is reached in short order, and if the Strait of Hormuz is not open immediately, he will destroy Iran's electric plants, oil wells, and Crag Island and completely obliterate them. So
Yeah,
he's
no, it'll
making
be.
these threats.
I think it's interesting how the main thing they're talking about attacking is energy.
Yeah,
I mean, they
yeah. I
really
mean,
want to make Iran like bend the knee and not through like mass murder, which is, I suppose, a bit a bit on the good side of things, but still, starving these people from electricity and energy, they will dive through that means.
yeah. It's like a
Mhm.
almost like a siege in a way, like a I'm
Yeah,
trying
like
to
a siege.
like
Yeah,
a
exactly, like a
utility.
modern siege.
Yeah, modern siege basically is what it is. And he's comparing this situation to what happened in Venezuela, expressing a desire to seize and control Iran's oil indefinitely, which is something that's not going to happen. Iran has beat the test of time and time again, and it only makes sense for them not to fall to these levels of attacks that are happening, because we can see that they are standing strong to a lot of the infrastructure that we've already hit, and they are not dwindling down. And even the Houthis are now getting involved as well. So this is only making the region even more chaotic, and it's going to have a large realignment once this is over in regards to superpowers within the region. And
It'll be interesting to see where some of the Gulf states go after this, because a lot of them are pushing, Saudi Arabia particularly heavily pushing for this attacking of Iran.
yeah,
I
they want
wonder
the yeah.
I wonder
Mhm.
if like if they get that goal taken care of, like achieved,
I mean, there
or
were
if they don't, what their plan is going to be with the United States Israel question that I'm sure they have right now.
yeah. I mean, it seems like they want to be the leader of Islam within the world, and kind of like Muhammad, as you were saying, like they want to lead that front and basically become the hegemony for Islam within that area. But
Absolutely.
even Financial Times, this wasn't able to make it into the notes, but I do like to like 10 minutes before getting on, I like just scan Twitter and I bookmark things. But this is from an hour ago. Financial Times is reporting that Iran could emerge from the war stronger and more dangerous, which is exactly what's going to happen. And after a month of fighting, Iran has arguably secured the most significant strategic victory, a tightening grip over traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, and that's Bloomberg. So you have our own news sources understanding that Iran is really positioning themselves in a much better way than the United States is and Israel is when you look at the whole entire world on economic and on cultural and spiritual um, gauges overall. And with we know with these Israeli intensified strikes, Iran itself has intensified its retaliatory strikes on the U.S. and Israeli targets. Iranian missiles struck the Neot Hova industrial zone. I may be saying that wrong, but this is in southern Israel, home to major facilities, including a Teva pharmaceutical plant, one of the largest genetic drug manufacturers in the world, causing fires, chemical leaks, and secondary explosions. So this is also going to upend the pharmaceutical market on a global scale. And officials are assessing the potential hazardous leak, and Iran has knocked an Israeli power plant in that region completely offline and carried out approximately 27 strikes on the Negev, Negev. I believe I'm saying that right. But however, with reports of zero visible Israeli air defense activations or interceptors in some barrages. And the Hafai port oil refinery was hit as well, leading to damage, power outages, and a roughly 4% collapse in the stock of the opening of the stock of the operating company within hours. And with all of that, U.S. bases were hit simultaneously in Kuwait, Bahrain, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia, which are all the countries that are pushing Trump to continue on with this war, wounding American troops, including Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia. Yemen's Houthi Yemen's Houthi rebels have formally joined the war on Iran's side, launching ballistic missiles at Israel and opening threats to Red Sea shipping via the Bab al Mandeb, which is another strait, another waterway for oil to flow through from the Middle East. And Iraq is reportedly sending aid to Iran, and Iran has issued an ultimatum to the United States that it must officially condemn the bombing of Iranian universities by noon on March 30th, Tehran time, or Iran will strike American universities within the region. So we're saying that we are having no um, decent scale for life and just bombing left and right in Iran. It seems that they are going to take a page out of our own playbook and do a little bit of the same thing and start targeting these housing facilities, these universities, things of a nature, because we are going about and doing the same. And an ex-CIA officer publicly stated that 165 innocent little girls were killed by an American Tomahawk missile strike on or near an Iranian university school complex, which is what we covered on this podcast. And there was actually a second school that was hit from a Tomahawk missile. And when I was really listening and learning into the software system that provided them that data, it was with AI and Claude, but it was with old data because that school that we hit in the beginning of this war actually used to be an old military site. So
Yeah.
that's why it was still fixated as a prime target. But with that new information that was out there that it wasn't, the AI did not pick that up and just relied on the old information, and that's how unfortunately we had the bombing and killing of 165 to 175 individuals.
This is why
It's
the United States is not in the International Crime Court
Yeah,
for
that's
shit
a
like this.
thousand percent why
Yeah.
we are not in the International Crimes Court, because we would us with Israel would be the first two individuals to be brought in,
Yeah.
realistically.
Absolutely. I mean, just it's very sad and tragic, but I think it's just really interesting and telling how much sorry, anytime you see one of those UN votes, it'll be like the entire world's voting for something, but only two countries are voting against it. It's the same two every time.
Yeah,
And
it's like the resolution to signify slavery as the worst human action or something like that. There was a resolution that the UN took up, and three countries did not vote for it. Do you know who those three countries were?
US, Israel, and don't know the third.
Argentina.
Argentina now. Oh yeah, it makes sense. It makes
Yeah,
sense
they
they're
were the
part of the
three
club.
countries to shoot that down. So it makes perfect sense. I mean, they obviously probably think that the Holocaust was probably the largest atrocity on American history, but however, slave trade expands way farther than
And way
the
more people.
snapshot. The
Not
snapshot
not
that
just even the
uh,
transatlantic, just the overall
yeah,
slavery is
oh,
pretty
100%.
pretty long and bloodied history.
100%. I saw a funny video. It was like Eddie Murphy that adds some humor. He was talking to someone about the Dutch and stuff. It was actually about, funny enough, chicken and waffles, which is
Yeah.
something that I do enjoy myself.
Chicken
Someone
waffles
was
is
stating
delicious.
that the Dutch created chickens and waffles. They used to have it separate, then they put it together. And then the person was, and then he's like, "Oh, that's awesome." And the person was like, the Dutch also started the slave trade." And he's like, "Them mother." It's like a funny little, it's just a little funny clip.
Yeah, like a kickback reaction.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. But as we were talking a few episodes ago, that the Russians are providing intelligence sharing to Iran. Ukrainian intelligence has alleged that Russia has shared satellite images of Prince Sultan Air Base, which was struck by Iran. Um, they shared it with Iran days before it was struck, wounding American troops. And the White House indicated on March 30th that President Trump is interested in calling on Arab countries, to help fund the cost of the war, with more details coming forward. But it's just like, we are you spending so much money on this war? I think it's about like $35 billion from the taxpayer at the moment, and we're already now trying to get these Gulf states who are pushing us to continue this war to cough up, more money for the war, because as we know, NATO is distancing itself really as much as possible when it comes to this war. I'm pretty sure Germany had said that it would not allow, or wants to have, the troops that are housed in Germany, the U.S. troops that are there, to leave the country. We know
It makes
Spain
sense.
had,
It's not a war that Europe's involved with.
yeah,
I'd be
no, it's
back
not a
and
war.
forth all them too.
Oh, 100%. I would too, like Spain, standing up as well. So all of our allied countries are standing up. And, Rubio is stating that after this war is over, whenever it's over, because, it started at weeks, months, and now I think we're going to be going 1 to 2 years. Um, he was the one that was behind the law that makes it I believe, a three-fourths vote in Congress for the removal of the United States from NATO, even though he's now saying that we have to reassess our relationship with NATO. And I'm sure most of the members of Congress would not agree with Rubio's assessment on that.
Yeah.
And then,
I know a lot of conservatives have been very strongly for NATO, saying that like this is a line in the sand that if Trump and his admin try to cross, we'll be very heavily against it. Like there's no reason for us to not rely on NATO. I mean, it really wouldn't make any sense just geopolitically, nor as just a militaristic aspect. And
yeah,
like, yeah, like, even complaint wise you may have with them, it really does us no good to not have them around. You can argue about who's contributing how much, and yeah, just number wise, percentage wise, there's only like three other countries in NATO who match how much we do.
yeah, pretty
And
much.
but with that said, isolating your allies on a global scale, especially when you're a superpower with China and Russia, technically almost a land invasion away through Alaska.
Yeah, literally. And China's just sitting there and just watching and just taking notes as we report it. And today, March 30th, Iran struck the Habshan Fujira pipeline. I don't know if I'm saying that right,
Fujura.
but it struck a pipeline with satellite imagery confirming fires at two pumping stations on the critical UAE. I lost my spot. Sorry, UAE overland bypass, which its capacity is 1.5 to 1.8 billion um, billion barrels of oil, realistically. And then Houthi rebels have, as I stated, are in the conflict and opening a second choke point with ballistic missiles launching at Israel and threats to Saudi's um, Yunbu hub and Bad al Mandeb traffic. So with the Houthis stepping in, it now adds another choke point to all of this, and also now another front to this war. And the conflict now spans the Persian Gulf and the Red Sea, compromising both Hormuz and its primary workaround, and skyrocketing global supply chain risk, where you have Saudi Arabia's east to west pipeline is operating at a full 7 million barrels per day capacity as a partial workaround to all of the oil and energy stresses that are just from today. As the week goes on, I am sure oil could top off at 110, maybe even
Probably things have been crazy
115.
lately. Things have
Like
been
I could see
crazy.
it jump all the way up there. But as all of these various global dimensions and perspectives continue to be updated, we will make sure we bring you guys the best, most truthful and accurate information as well. And now we're going to move to the domestic side of things, as the disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz, through which roughly one third of global seaborne fertilizer trade and about half of the world's urea typically passes through, have driven sharp increases in fertilizer prices. This is something that a lot of people are not talking about. This is adding significant pain for American farmers already preparing for a spring planting season. The import euro has risen by close to a third since the strikes began on February 28th, compounding prior year-over-year increases. Farmers face suppliers refusing to lock in prices with jumps of $200 per ton or more, reported in key states like Illinois, North Dakota, and Wisconsin. Although much of U.S. fertilizer is domestically produced, higher natural gas and energy costs are pushing even those prices upward, threatening reduced application rates, lower yields, and shifts to less fertilizer sensitive crops or eventual higher consumer food prices. So, on top of what they were facing with China, the soybean issue, and the deal making that Trump was doing behind the scenes. They were hurting from that, and now they're hurting on this as well. So really, our farmers. It's going to be interesting to see what agriculture reports come out as the spring and summer roll around, and really to see if crops are going to be fruitful given this high rising cost in fertilizer.
And
Broader, yeah,
I want to add something that's also kind of interesting that back in the depression era, like the late 20s, early 30s is when the Dust Bowl kicked in. That also caused
yeah,
like a lot of agriculture, food issues, and more affordability and more. And then I think it's interesting how much like where history seems to like rhyme. You know, we had a lot of we're having issues. I mean, back in the 20s, 30s, the war was coming, World War I was coming around, finishing up. Then we had a lot of resource issues going on with food. You know, that is a resource,
yeah,
and more. And now we have like the economy hit like a massive point of like exhaustion. And
yeah,
I I want to see where things go further from here in terms of domestic developments, because I really feel like things are just being so ignored for the sake of the war and also just whatever Trump is focused on for that time period.
yeah.
Like
I mean,
the
he
dude
said
just
no
got a
one.
newspaper that he bases his decisions off of.
Yeah, I mean the real with the real of all the bombings just to get him some child level understanding of what's going on with the war. He said himself to Speaker Johnson privately, you know, who cares about housing? He doesn't care about housing. He's
They
only
literally, I think, what was
yeah
it?
like
the economy secretary who said that like, well, the consumers will get hurt, but
Oh
the
yeah,
consumers aren't our concern.
yeah. Like they've already told you who are their concern. The 1%, the individuals within the stock market making those trades, and it's not your average blue collar individual who he was a champion for in the beginning of his first presidency. And with all this going on, you have oh look at that, 7 people in. That's pretty good.
They're here for the cap.
Broader
They're here for the cap. I'm telling you, it works every time.
broader
16
energy markets
works every
face
time.
even more
Cool. Give us your
severe
opinion.
political
Anything
political
else?
escalation.
Okay, I think she's done.
Experts, including strategists at the McGuire Group, warned that if the war in Iran continues into the summer through June, Brent crude oil prices could surge past $200 per barrel. In a client note, McGuire assigned roughly a 40% probability to this bull case scenario, noting that sustained disruption would require prices high enough to destroy a historically large amount of global oil demand. This level would likely push US gasoline prices to roughly, brace yourself, $7 per gallon
$7.
at the pump.
Crazy.
$7 per gallon if we reach $200 a barrel.
I can't even believe that. You know what
I
I mean?
think I
Like, if
would
I went outside and I saw $7 at the gas
catch me at
station,
the White
like,
House. You're gonna
I
catch me at the
gotta
White House.
beat somebody up. I've gotta beat somebody up.
Someone's getting it. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Like,
We
who are we
complain
jumping to fix this problem?
we complain so much about the gas prices during Biden's era that we have this situation that we shouldn't even be in, and now we're seeing possibly, 45% chance of $200 barrel for oil, as well as $7 per gallon at the pump. And Iranian officials have echoed the warning specifically, with military spoke people declaring the world should, obviously get ready for that $200 a barrel mark due to destabilized regional security and the effective closure of Hormuz. Other analysts from firms like Wood McKinsey and commentators at energy conferences have described the $200 oil as not outside the realm of possibility, or even warned of gasoline reaching $8 per gallon in extreme prolonged cases.
Which is
Crude
crazy.
oil prices have already responded sharply to the latest developments, with the benchmark settling up 3.25% and trading at $102 per barrel. Goldman Sachs has already tied the oil shock to approximately 10,000 US jobs lost monthly, with higher
We're
impacts.
already losing jobs. Job creation is
Yeah,
incredible.
jobs are being lost left and right. I mean,
Yeah.
unemployment's going up, inflation was going up. Everything was fine before this war. I wouldn't say everything was fine. Everything was going on a good, steady course until really this war started. And
Jazzed
with
everything up. Yeah.
yeah, and the heaviest impacts have been on leisure, hospitality, and retail, while noting China's economy is appearing relatively more resilient. Smaller GDP forecast trim is what is expected to come from China, but these risks compound the fertilizer pain in agriculture and raise the specter of broader inflationary pressure and recessionary signals if the conflict drags on without resolution. The Atlantic has described the situation as a multi-dimensional economic disaster, highlighting threats to global energy, AI, supply chains, fertilizer, and broader trade. And paradoxically, while Iran faces battlefield setbacks, it appears to be profiting significantly from the energy disruption, kind of like what me and Muhammad were talking to earlier in the global section. The Economist titled "How Iran is Making a Mint from Donald Trump's War." Iran is now earning nearly twice as much from oil sales each day as it did before American and Israel bombs started falling on February 28th. Despite the military pressure, Iran's oil machine, supported by China, front companies, shadow banks, and the IRGC, has adapted with remarkable resilience. And the United States is coming to face with that. Iran continues to export significant volumes, charging nearly full Brent linked prices with minimal discounts, while rival Gulf producers have slashed output or seen exports throttled. The regime collects higher revenue at war premiums. As I stated, they're now charging $2 million for
Like,
each ship that is
talk about
going
an
through the
opportunity.
strait. What was that?
Talk about an opportunity.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, talk about an opportunity of when a window of opportunity. Iran is without a doubt seeing that through and actually positioning themselves to come out of this war a lot better than all this had just started. And they say that Iran may be plummeting on the battlefield, but the regime is winning the energy war. This dynamic adds complexity to the U.S. strategy. Military degradation versus Iran's unexpected economic gains from the very disruptions. The campaign. I'm sorry, disruptions. The campaign had aims to reverse, which they're not going to be able to reverse any of this without Iran coming out on top. This war is going to circle in to be a strategic failure from the United States if we aren't able to get some form of leverage on the Strait of Hormuz. If that does not happen, then there was no reason
Yeah, what's the
for this
objective?
war.
I mean,
Like,
is
yeah,
the
then what's the
objective to
objective?
have the strait be open after it was already open before the war
It was
started?
first he's a bad man, killing individuals. Now it's we don't want them to have a nuke. Now it's we want their oil. So everything keeps changing. And I really do hope, Democrats, when they are in power, they hold their feet to the fire and they have a crap ton of hearings and let the truth be told and
Mhm.
let the lying be held accountable realistically. And I
It'd
want to look
be
at the
interesting to
yeah,
see if they actually go about that route. I do have a very good feeling that people will go to jail for this, but the extent to which Democrats will really try to drain the swamp, if they really try to at all, would be the interesting part. Like, will they actually, like, when it comes to the administration, I'm sure they're going to go for like for the Pam Bondi breaking the Epstein Act, because that's a plain right violation right there. I'm sure they're going to go for Christy Noem and what happened with DHS. But, like,
yeah, yeah.
will they be going for people who are, like, actually involved with Epstein, or just people involved with the Trump admin who
No,
are
they got to
involved
do a
with Epstein?
clean house, because
I don't think
they
they'll
should
go
have
full
learned.
clean house. I don't. I think it'll
They
be
should have
like,
learned
it's just too
from
much to do. Let's just get some of the
January
basic stuff done.
6th with Merrick Garland. He failed the Democrats by not actively pursuing. And we cannot have
Yeah.
that same thing happen. If we do, it's just going to be an absorption of the Trump MAGA. It's not going to be a expulsion of it, even from the Republican Party, because they had their CPAC over the past weekend, which was, I heard, pretty demoralizing. It was pretty demoralizing, I heard.
I read
And
there was the one that a speaker asked them if they want to, see Trump get impeached, and there's, like, cheering, and they're like, "Okay, you weren't supposed to cheer for
yeah,
that."
like I just don't, get it at this point. Then you have the Drewski video, which I thought was absolutely hilarious.
I didn't watch
Um,
the whole thing, but that makeup job's insane.
the makeup job was great, and the staring in the camera and her eyes. She literally does the same thing in person. And they went back and forth on Twitter and on Instagram, X, Y, and Z. And he's like, you were able to forgive the shooter that killed your husband quicker, and you're gonna be mad at me just making a video on a general context, but you're feeling like the shoe fits you the most. Which I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm like, well
Like the
then
hit
you go and
dogs
watch.
yelping kinda deal. Like, if you weren't
Yeah,
affected or, like, offended by this, you wouldn't be reacting like this, but because it
exactly.
is, you clearly are.
In the CPAC video, there's a larger woman is up there on stage, and funny enough, someone was like, "Is this like an actual Drewski skit again?" And like multiple quote tweets over it, but it's just like, yeah, the conservatives are done and over. I mean, not done and over with, but they need to just reimagine themselves, rebrand themselves, kind of the same way that Democrats had to after Joe Biden. Realistically, it's going to be a coming of terms with it. But however, Democrats didn't really hold Joe Biden on their sleeve. We were able to easily cut him off and continue to move on. I
Like
don't
dying
know if
flesh, like
yeah, I don't
rotting
know
flesh,
if the
honestly.
Republicans are going to be able to remove their mouths from the Trump administration going forward. But I do want to cover the financial cost of the war. The financial burden on the U.S. taxpayer has mounted rapidly. According to the Iran War Cost Tracker, which is a public tracker, the U.S. war against Iran has exceeded 35 billion in just 30 days since strikes began. The tracker estimates initial cost of 11.3 billion in the first 6 days, followed by roughly 1 billion per day in ongoing operations, munitions, personnel, and related expenses. Mind you, that figure surpasses NASA's entire annual budget.
Yeah.
Entire annual budget. All that money could be used for multiple domestic programs, but no, we're just gonna use it for war. And then I don't even want to get in. We're gonna get into it. But I don't want to get into the Republicans' reconciliation bill.
Yeah.
Like they really all just need to be voted out of office. They want to cut healthcare. Want to cut healthcare after what the big beautiful bill already did, after the chaos we had to go through with the ACH subsidies and all that nonsense. They want to cut your healthcare to fund this war. $200 billion is what they're looking for.
It's
After all, they're already requesting money from Congress on top of
I
all
love
of
how
this.
like the
Like,
one area Republicans go for to cut money is always like
it's
benefits
straight
and
to
social
healthcare. It's always
programs.
healthcare. No matter
Yeah.
what it is, it's always healthcare. You had Dodge come in and do what? What did they do? Realistically, like what cuts did they make to allow more money to flow in regards to
They usually just
healthcare?
increase taxes. That's
Yeah,
usually what they do.
I mean, you literally have Trump literally pardoned. I don't know if you saw this. A Jewish nursing home operator pardoned him. I believe $35 million embezzled,
Yeah.
fraud, got a pardon. The individual who got the pardon wouldn't pay any payroll tax, never paid people's salaries, things of that nature, is not going to have to pay any of them back after getting his pardon. Spent almost $900,000 on lobbying efforts to get the pardon. So it's all
It is
full circle
crazy. It
here.
is crazy. Like, how
Yeah,
does this guy's even making
he's.
like doing like
I'm telling you,
tens
he's
of
selling
millions of
part.
dollars? Like,
I'm telling
how's
you,
he
he's
getting
selling
this
pardons.
pardon?
He is selling pardons, and when it comes out that that is true, his head is going to be left out to dry. No one will go down with him if that is the case at all. No one will, because it's just disgusting because they were so over the top with Biden's auto pin, and that now I don't know if you saw this, they don't even have enough evidence for the auto pin case for any criminal wrongdoing or findings.
Yeah.
So all of these frivolous cases that they're running against,
Frivolous.
Democrats are just falling flat on their faces, just like all the other court cases they had regarding the 2020 election.
I mean, what I think it'll be.
Hmm.
I think it's funny when politicians, especially you've seen this a lot with the Trump admin, try to like fluff up all these political legal attempts at like, getting political opponents in trouble or in jail or something or another. And it never works. Like, remember earlier, this feels like forever ago. Remember earlier in the year when they were trying to talk about getting Obama arrested
Oh my
for what he
god.
was doing as president? And
Yes,
then it's like,
unfortunately, yes, I
what's the
do.
objective here? What is the objective here? Like, do you really think this is possible? Do you think this is going to help you get more voters? Do you think your voters are going to feel like you're doing I mean, I guess draining the swamp. They'll be fine with Obama
No,
going
it just
to
gets the
jail.
MAGA base up, in an upheaval. It's like, oh, we're gonna get him.
But
Oh, we're.
of all things, like there's no
But
reasonableness to
you
it.
talk about
None.
that, and as I do like to check Twitter from time to time. Apparently, a broker for U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth attempted to make a large investment in major defense companies in the weeks leading up to the Iranian war. So yeah,
Ooh,
yeah. And so speaking on that market indicator, I don't know if you saw this, Mohammed, but Iran's reverse indicator, they're been giving out trading
I
advice
saw that.
regarding
I saw
how,
that.
and it actually played out very well today, apparently. So the trading advice has continued to play out in real time with dramatic market swings. At 4:12 p.m. on Sunday, Iran Speaker of the Parliament suggested that pre-market news acts as a reverse indicator. If they dump the market, go long. If they pump it, short it. This is not financial advice, by the way. By 10 p.m. Eastern Time Sunday, the S&P 500 futures had fallen nearly 1% on mounting war concerns. Just 2 hours later, by 12 p.m., 12 a.m., I'm sorry, the futures had reversed all losses and turned green. Then at 7:25 a.m. on Monday, President Trump posted that great progress is being made on peace talks, though we all know that's an absolute lie. Sending the
You're just
S&P,
saying that to get
yeah,
the
just saying that
market
just for
pumped
the
up
market,
now.
literally sending the S&P 500 to plus 100 points off of its low, and then by 3 p.m. Eastern time, roughly 7 hours later, the S&P 500 turned red again and was down 100 points from its high. This created nearly 2 trillion swing in S&P 500 market capitalization in less than 24 hours,
That's
underscoring the
crazy.
extreme
That's
volatility.
crazy.
Yes, like this
This
is
money's
happening
not
every
real, man.
single
This
weekend.
money isn't
Like
real.
this is literally happening every single weekend. Literally, that's why I said, these things are going to happen on the weekend because he is such a man that is bound by the market. As Pam Bondi said, the Dow's past 50,000. So that's what he's going to be, beating his chest on. And it's really how he's gauging his foreign policy, which is disastrous.
I
He's
mean,
literally
I
gauging his
know.
foreign policy off the freaking market.
I
Like,
mean, it's
dude,
a slippery slope because it's more than just the market. It's also the bond, the yield on bonds. The 10-year bond, I believe. Here, let me see if I can pull it up. U.S. 10-year. The 10-year bond's been pushing 5%, 4.5% for quite a while now, and that's pretty damn bad. And then the last time it got up there, it was up. The last time it was that high was actually since before the recession kicked in. And in general, what a lower bond price means is that more people are confident in the country that's itself, like the economy and how it'll perform.
mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
the higher it goes, it means the country's trying to offer a higher premium to attract more buyers because there's less confidence about it. And there's been a lot of movement up with the bond price lately. So I'm not sure if it's related to that or the market or a mixture of everything,
yeah,
but it just really seems like he's trying to do whatever he can to kind of keep that under 5%.
yeah. I mean,
Now,
his what net worth $1.4 billion since taking office, but everyone
I mean,
wants to
honestly, dude, like if things go
like,
south, that family could lose a ton of their wealth, if not most of
oh,
it.
they should. I mean, they're doing this
I agree
on the
they
backs of
should.
Americans. Like everyone was up against the wall with Biden. He's right over here, up against the wall with Biden during the whole Burisma thing with the laptop. But we saw where that went. Literally nowhere. But
Yeah.
something that's actually real, tangible. You can actually read this stuff and understand it on your own to see that President Trump is putting up his own pockets and also lining his own pockets. Like the whole boards of peace thing, he's literally just shifting money from the United States to this boards of peace for who knows what reasoning.
Yeah.
Who knows for what reasoning? And a board of peace for what? When there's just nothing but wars just going left and right in this country. I mean, throughout the
Board of
globe.
Peace.
But
Yeah. It makes me what makes me laugh so much about it is how it's really just the oxymorony of it all. More like you call yourself the Board of Peace, and then like it's some of the most blood hungry countries in the entire world. Like
literally, literally,
it's like being called like the League of Legends or something. That's actually a game title. I should say something else. I was
yeah,
thinking about like the League of Evil, some like SpongeBob joke.
right. But
But
as you
then
said,
like
he
from
doesn't.
there going about it and then saying like like how they named the bill to spy on Americans the Patriot Act. Like says one thing, totally doing another.
Yeah, literally, literally, literally. And with you saying that, just want to throw this in here. For a piece of legislation, if you're not able to understand the full in-depth terminology, because it is a lot, I have someone that's written legislation, things of that nature. The Digital Democracy Project helps with that. So definitely, our listeners, please, please, please take the time. Just check out the website and all the good things that they are doing. The Digital Democracy Project. Definitely, please go look them up. And then, still on the domestic, global kind of quasi-ness at this point, because they all go in tandem together. President Trump announced a 10-day extension to April 6th on strikes against Iranian energy infrastructure, as we talked about, citing indirect talks
Just trying to
progressing
keep the
via
market up.
intermediaries. Yeah, literally. Rubio noted concrete progress in a 15-point U.S. proposal. However, we know this. Iran denies holding any direct negotiations with the U.S. and continues to call the demands unrealistic, which they basically are. The campaign has largely completed military degradation, but now emphasizes economic pressure with both Israeli and U.S. strikes shifting toward economic and energy infrastructure. We have the Houthis' involvement, alleged Russian assistance, and potential limited ground raids involving elite units like Delta Force Rangers and SEAL Team 6. So, with all of these things happening on the global side of things, um, what can happen this weekend or within 2 weekends is something very major. I truly do believe there will be a ground invasion that will not only eviscerate the Republicans out of any contention for the House and Senate, but will also lead to mass American casualties on this Iranian front. And I am sure American listeners at home or our listeners that are across the pond in Europe and those other countries all feel the same. They would not want to send their own sons and daughters to fight in this war
I
for the
hope
sake
not.
of Israel and
Iran
for
would
the
be a
sake.
miserable place to
Yeah.
die.
Yeah, I actually saw someone introduce a bill that Lindsey Graham would have to sign up for the draft or he would have to send his son to the draft. And I'm like,
I
yes,
think that should
because
be a
he
requirement
is
for
such
every
a
politician.
he is such a POS
Yeah.
when it comes to
Hungry
war
war
and
hawk.
how much he pushes for war. You would think he sleeps with it every single night on his
Yeah.
mind, in his bed, and everything. It's just like the people like that in government. How could you let them represent your district? Like, I would love to see on the Digital Democracy Project, how well does he represent his district realistically? I really
Yeah.
would love to know because it's probably not that great, but he probably just gets elected all the time because it's the how incumbents rule at some point where individuals just go off the name that they are so normal of seeing like on a
Yeah.
very
It's just what you
basis.
know.
Yeah, basically just what you know. Like when we talked to Ramon, he was saying 95% of races go uncontested by individuals from the other party, or even individuals within the party that's running itself. So it's just
Yeah.
like it's very interesting. So that means for all of you young individuals to get into politics and run at any level, local, state, federal, get your name out there, get your ideas out there. We are the leaders that this world desperately needs. Now, actually going into the domestic side of things, I know I said that earlier, but this is more so particularly focusing on the DHS funding bill and partial government shutdown. So, as we all know, I think it was like late in the night. The Senate did a voice vote on the DHS bill, right?
Yeah.
Unanimously passed. All 100 senators were for it. And I believe this was just for DHS, but not ICE funding. Just DHS, no ICE funding. It was agreed upon in the Senate. They sent it over to the House, and the House didn't even vote on it. They didn't even take it up. Either they took it up or it just failed outright. And it's interesting to note that the bill came from the Senate Republicans, and the House Republicans wouldn't even take up wouldn't even take up the measure to vote. They instead passed their own 60-day, a clean 60-day continuing resolution for full funding. But Schumer has already said that this bill would be dead on arrival in the Senate. And
Yeah.
Senate Republicans now in recess until Thursday are apparently done negotiating with Democrats, and they will be advancing the 3-year ICE funding via budget reconciliation, which would be a simple majority, 50
51-49.
votes plus JD Vance as
Yeah.
tiebreaker. So seems like they may be able to get this done on Thursday um, if Republicans are if there are enough Republicans to fully vote for it. They may not need Democrats for those votes, but however, Senate Majority Leader John Thune is refusing to call the Senate back from its 2-week vacation to address the DHS funding, stating that it should just be a show vote with no real chance of passage given the partisan divide. Real world impacts persist with prolonged TSA lines. Mohammed, you said you were leaving at a
Those lines have been crazy.
BWI.
What'd
When
you
were you
say?
leaving? You said you were going. You said you had to
Two
go to
weeks.
BWI in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it's a lot better for you in 2 weeks, because I've seen
Hopefully.
BWI be like one of the most high trafficked and most blocked up
Yeah,
and most delays.
let's see if they got beat TSA wait times on the web to see.
But
I
I mean, Trump, he signed the executive order. It's not like he couldn't have done that. But I don't. But it's like, yes, you signed the executive order, but where's the money going to come from?
yeah.
Like, where's the money going to come from? Like, yes, you signed it here and there, but it's like, where's the money going to come from? And just speaking on executive orders, I don't think I have it in here,
What?
but the Supreme Court is going to be taking up the birthright citizenship case, and I do think they are not going to uphold Trump's. No, I believe they are looking to uphold Trump's executive order, which will then provide more leeway to basically now Trump will get new ideas for what his executive orders can actually do. So we may be seeing a lot more executive orders if the Supreme Court ruling is in favor of the Trump administration regarding
W-
birthright citizenship.
Would be interesting and kind of mind blowing if they do swing that favor in that direction. I mean, I don't personally know how you guys can interpret this any other way, but I'm also not a Supreme Court justice.
Yeah, I mean, it's certain sections of the 14th Amendment, and then looking at historical readings of when the 14th Amendment was mentioned, adopted, X, Y, and Z. That's what they're looking back on. It's definitely going to be a very interesting opinions that do come out on this bill.
Yeah.
I mean, on the Supreme Court case regarding birthright citizenship. But the one thing that has been making me bang my head on the table is Republicans weighing federal health spending reductions on Medicaid work requirements, eligibility tightening, provider payment cuts, ACA subsidy reforms, including rejection of enhanced premium tax credit extensions, and redirection to health savings freedom accounts entitled enrollment.
Freedom accounts.
Freedom.
Key fun word. American.
Yeah, mind you, they're doing all of this to offset up to 200 billion for war costs and immigration enforcement in a potential reconciliation package. Democrats call the House approach dead on arrival, as I've said, and accuse leverage seeking, where Republicans blame Democratic obstruction and the internal. There's also been an internal Miller controversy, which adds another layer of tension to the DHS operations during the shutdown. I don't know if you saw this, Muhammad, actually, but amid the ongoing partial DHS shutdown and aggressive immigration enforcement push, which has now been very much laxed by the Trump administration, internal tensions have boiled over regarding White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy and Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller. A daily report details growing frustration among Trump's insiders, with some senior officials and allies accusing Miller of acting as a puppet master who overrides President Trump on key deportation decisions and runs DHS operations with an iron fist. Sources claim Miller holds daily 10 a.m. conference calls in which he berates officials, demands strict arrest quotas, reportedly pushing for thousands daily, and drives highly aggressive tactics. Critics inside the administration allege Miller ignored or undermined Trump's direct order to spare farm workers during a major LA area crackdown, contributing to operational chaos, health and safety crisis within DHS facilities, and broader dysfunction. Miller is also blamed by some for playing a pivotal role in the recent ouster of former DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. Additionally, his push for hardline enforcement has been linked by detractors to fatal shootings during operations, including incidents in Minneapolis that drew national scrutiny. While some insiders call firing to restore balance, which he should be fired right away, and try to reduce internal chaos. Others describe him as one of the most powerful figures in the White House with the president's ear. This internal drama unfolds against the backdrop of the record long DHS shutdown, Senate GOP efforts to secure multi year ICE funding via reconciliation, and proposals to cut federal health spending to offset $200 billion in war and enforcement efforts. And yeah, so to fund a war not started by us, not led by us, they want to cut your health care. They want to cut your social services to be able to fuel the military industrial complex. They want your pockets hurting so that you can point the finger at each other and not really what's the issue, which is this administration and its policies. And I would
Yeah.
say that for any administration, whether it was Republican or Democrat, they aren't running through policies that make sense for the overall population. That's why I always say that FDR was the best president for the general population of Americans. Like Biden had some issues where he was more so on the cultural side of things. Now we're seeing Trump and his issues being more on the Israeli and one percenter sides of things, which is complete 180 from his first time in office.
Yeah. It's been
And
bad.
so
I mean, at least in the first time, I can honestly see how people would interpret what he was doing as more being like America first and not like what he is doing now, which is people rightfully accusing him of being focused on not Americans' priorities, but somewhere else, more specifically
yeah,
Israel and global stances.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just ridiculous. You know, America first, Israel first. At this point, it's all the same thing. And with all of this, and I was talking about CPAC, how degraded they have felt with this overburden of Israel grabbing the GOP by the throat and basically just, doing whatever it wants with it. The DNC, which is very courageous, plans to consider an APAC criticizing resolution on dark money. That's a huge step for
Yeah.
them to take, and they are looking at 2028 and they're thinking about focusing on a candidate that is white and has Christian values, which I think, as we were talking about this on Twitter, I was thinking Talarico, he will be in this. I hope he's in the Senate by then, but he's someone that really sticks a point to there. And then we were saying Bashir, Newsom. Bashir is actually getting a lot of heat right now by saying that, by basically not stating that what's going on in Gaza is a genocide.
Yeah,
Same
it'll
thing
be
with
interesting to see
Newsom.
where the Dems go.
Yeah, same thing with Newsom. He is very slowly walking back his remarks that he made a few months ago about Israel, where I actually was praising him on that. He is
I mean,
full enough dropping back real fast
he's
on a lot of
he's
those
basically
things.
trying to say that Israel as a country isn't bad. Netanyahu's the problem. That's what he's trying to say. Like, it's not the whole country; it's the guy running the country that's the issue. And
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
like,
And
I see why it's
I
like a
see
safe answer to say, but it
it is a
doesn't
safe
really.
answer. It's a good politician's answer, realistically,
Yeah,
on this topic. And like, as we've talked about before, Cory Booker not taking any more APAC funding or things of that nature. So you're really seeing APAC put on its head, and I am very happy to see that Americans are waking up and realizing how entrenched Israel is within United States politics and geopolitics, and with all of these foreign and domestic crises that are shaping up the 2026 midterm landscape, you guys can be sure to catch all of the most accurate, balanced, and informative information. Excuse me, here on Behind the Ballot. And I actually would have to say, congratulations to us, Muhammad. We hit 7 people on live today for our first time. So
yeah.
thank you to
Most
everyone
we've
that's
ever had at
listening.
once.
Yeah, most we ever
Yeah.
had at once. I think a consistent three to five range we were sitting at. But yes, we appreciate the comments as well. And Mohammed, thank you for answering those comments to the people in the chat. And yeah, to our listeners, as always, thank you for joining us today on Behind the Ballot, where we keep politics engaged, balanced, and informative. Stay curious, stay critical, and please stay involved. I'm Mikhail Jenkins. And until next time, keep looking beyond the headlines and behind the ballot.
And I'm Muhammad Alec. Thank you, Mikhail, for having me. Per usual, God bless America. God bless you all, and I hope you all have a good night.